A major part of a police officer's job is spent on the streets, driving around in their cruisers, enforcing traffic laws, and making their presence known. But what actually happens when police are doing their rounds? Now, after clearing a few hurdles, we were off on a ride-along with our cameras.
So this will actually be no different than the start of any other shift for me. We come in, check the prisoners, check the Passover items for Passover, what needs to be done during the night shift, and then I like to go out and just have a look around and see what's going on in the city. The vast majority of the incidents that we respond to, period, involve alcohol or drugs or a combination of both. So the places that I like to drive by and have a look at to see how they're going is the licensed establishments. A normal day shift would run several driving complaints. Lloydminster is a very busy city, and everybody. And it's funny because for a small city, everybody's in such a big hurry, and they tend to forget A, their manners when they're driving, and B, the traffic laws. The amount of driving offenses, the amount of avoidable collisions that happen in Lloydminster is astounding. From people not paying attention, driving too fast, reversing unsafely, driving impaired. One of the most dangerous situations that a police officer can initiate and then become involved in is a traffic stop. Because there's so many unknowns. You don't know who's in the vehicle, you don't know what's in the vehicle. I can tell you personally, 2 weeks ago, I tried to pull a vehicle over in front of where we just were by Home Depot. I activated my lights, and then they turned, and I drove in behind the Home Depot. And that, for myself, even as an experienced investigator, that takes my risk assessment a lot higher. Now they're taking me into a darkened area where I can't be seen. And so right away I called for another car to come and back me up. And it turned out all for nothing. It was okay. It was a new driver. They weren't sure what to do, and everything was fine. But it's that unknown. You see this guy here? The van, his high mount brake light is burnt out. Am I going to stop him for that? No. Could I though? Absolutely. And it all has to fit into a bigger picture. 95% of the vehicles rolling down the road have some sort of an equipment violation that can necessitate a vehicle stop. That doesn't mean we're going to go and stop every one of them.
He was definitely speeding.
Where I was, I mean, I'm not going to jump the median to go chase down a speeder. And I was in a position where I could have stopped him because I was close enough to the intersection to make the U-turn. Another thing that you have to consider too is whatever traffic law that I'm going to legally break to execute my duties, what is going to be the risk involved versus the enforcement activity? So, and then I have to think ahead too, as for prosecution, do I have enough evidence to secure a conviction? You heard on the radio as we were prepping, there was a call to a local hotel. There was somebody in the lobby that appeared to be drunk or intoxicated under the influence of something and was harassing the staff there. That's a very common complaint. Easily 80% of calls that are responded to have one of three factors involved to them, or a combination of all three: drugs, alcohol, or some mental health issues. We received a call from a girl, a young woman, stating that her brother was under the influence and there was a disturbance inside the house. Of course, I'm going to speak very generally because the matter is before the courts. There was both a knife and a firearm involved in the residence. Both the callers had fled the residence as they were fearing their safety. All members of the watch responded, met with the caller at the end of the block. So in a situation like that, we would set up containment. We want people at the front of the house, we want people at the back of the house. And of course, you don't want anybody to be alone. So 2 members to the back and 2 members to the front, and 1 on either end of the street. And it doesn't take long when you start to eat up personnel with assignments like that. We got the containment set up on the house, and we were just in the process of making contact with the subject of the complaint when he managed to, he was made his way outside of the house and was apprehended. Several firearms were recovered from the scene, and additionally another one was recovered the next day. I would love to tell you that that's an unusual occurrence for Lloydminster, but it's not. It's infrequent, but it's not unusual.
133. Go ahead. 10-4 Twin City Taxi is bringing a male to the detachment. He is asleep in the backseat.
That is a common call. Somebody's passed out in a taxi cab and the driver can't wake him up, so they're going to bring them to the detachment.
Corporal Michael Dunsmore says a busy single shift would consist of roughly 20 calls, ranging anywhere from an intoxicated individual to a domestic assault or a child custody issue. Now, we are told that Lloydminster is one of the busiest jurisdictions, seeing how there is a lot of disposable income to be had here. But in the end, members tell me this is a great place to work and live. Well, that is your look at Lloydminster's RCMP. Thank you for watching.